First contact's price. The desert night shattered with a sound like thunder. Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her telescope at the Moonlight Ridge Observatory, watching as a streak of blue-white fire carved across the Nevada sky. The object wasn't following a natural trajectory, it was maneuvering. "Marcus, are you seeing this?" She called to her research partner, but he was already rushing to the monitoring equipment, fingers flying across keyboards. "Whatever it is, it's bleeding radiation patterns I'd never seen before," Marcus Reynolds said, his dark skin illuminated by the glow of multiple screens. "And it's going to hit somewhere in the Red Rock Canyon area." Sarah was already grabbing her emergency kit and car keys. As the observatory's lead xenophysicist, she'd spent 15 years preparing for this moment. The thing that was about to crash wasn't a meteor or space debris. It was something else entirely. "I'm calling it in," Marcus said, reaching for the secure line to military command. "Wait." Sarah's hand caught his wrist. "Give me 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes before this becomes a government circus." Marcus hesitated. They'd been friends since graduate school, and he knew that look in her eyes. The protocols. The protocols were written by bureaucrats who've never seen what we're seeing right now. Sarah's voice was steady, but her heart hammered against her ribs. 30 minutes might make the difference between first contact and a cover-up. The object struck Earth with an impact that rattled the observatory windows. A plume of dust rose into the starlit sky, and an eerie blue glow pulsed from the crash site. Marcus checked his watch. 29 minutes. Go. Sarah's hybrid car hummed to life, and she took the access road at dangerous speeds. The crash site's glow grew brighter as she approached, casting strange shadows across the desert landscape. Her Geiger counter began clicking rapidly. Not dangerous levels, but definitely not normal. The crater was smaller than she expected, maybe 30 feet across. The object that had made it was even more surprising. A sleek, oval pod about the size of a small car, its surface decorated with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. And it was opening. Sarah's scientific training warred with her survival instinct as a seam appeared in the pod's surface. She should run. She should wait for backup. She should document everything. Instead, she found herself moving closer, drawn by an irresistible curiosity that had driven her entire career. The being that emerged was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and patterns similar to those on the pod rippled across its surface. It moved with a fluid grace that seemed to defy gravity, but Sarah could see it was injured. A dark liquid that looked like mercury dripped from its side. Their eyes met. Its pupils were vertical slits in fields of silver, and they widened with what Sarah could only interpret as surprise. "You're not running," it said in perfect English, its voice carrying harmonics that made Sarah's skin tingle. "Should I be?" she asked, her scientific mind already cataloging details. Bilateral symmetry, apparent respiratory system, capable of human speech. "Most species do, when they see what I really am." The creature pressed a hand to its wound, and the liquid metal of its skin seemed to ripple. "I am Nexus, and I carry something your world needs. But I'm being pursued. You have approximately 20 minutes before they arrive, and I need you to make a choice." Sarah's watch beeped. 15 minutes left before Marcus would make the call. "What choice?" "My ship's core contains technology that could power your entire planet for centuries without harm to your environment. But my pursuers want it too, and they'll destroy your world to get it." Nexus's silver eyes fixed on her. "I can transfer the core's knowledge to a living vessel, a human host, before they arrive. Once transferred, it will be undetectable to them. They'll find an empty ship and leave. And the host will have to learn to contain power never meant for your species. It could kill them. Or," Nexus paused, its pattern swirling faster, "it could evolve them into something new. Something that could change the course of human history." Sarah heard distant helicopters. Her time was running out. "Why me?" "Because you came looking. Because you're not afraid. Because in all my studies of your species, I've learned that humans have an extraordinary capacity for adaptation. Nexus stumbled, more mercury-like blood dripping to the desert floor. Choose quickly, Dr. Chen. Your government approaches, and they cannot be allowed to find what I carry. The knowledge must either transfer to you or be destroyed. Sarah thought of her life's work, of all the nights spent searching the stars for answers. She thought of human history, of how every great leap forward had required someone to take a risk. Her watch beeped again. 10 minutes left. How do we do this? She asked. Nexus's patterns glowed brighter. Take my hand. The process is quick, but it will hurt. And Sarah. The use of her first name startled her. If you survive. Remember, the power responds to human emotion. Strong feelings will trigger transformations you may not be ready for. Stay calm. Stay hidden. Learn to control it before they find you. Sarah reached out and clasped Nexus's offered hand. The alien's skin felt like living metal, cool and electric. I've spent my life looking for proof we're not alone, she said. I'm ready for what comes next. The transfer began with a sensation like ice in her veins, then built to searing heat. Sarah wanted to scream but couldn't make a sound. She saw images, vast cities made of crystal, ships that sailed between stars, beings of pure energy dancing through the cosmos. Knowledge flooded her mind. Equations that would revolutionize physics, technologies that would reshape civilization, and with them, a warning. There were predators among the stars, and humanity was no longer hidden from them. When it ended, Sarah found herself on her knees in the desert sand. Nexus was gone, the pod now a dull, lifeless shell. Her skin felt strange, like it was trying to reshape itself, and her mind buzzed with information she couldn't begin to process. The helicopters were much closer now. She could see their searchlights sweeping the desert. With trembling hands, she pulled out her phone and called Marcus. I'm okay, she said before he could speak, but everything's about to change. Don't tell them I was here. Don't tell them anything about me. And Marcus, thank you for those 30 minutes. They just changed the world. She ended the call and stood on shaky legs. Already she could feel it, power thrumming through her cells, trying to remake her into something new. Nexus had been right about one thing. She needed to learn control, and quickly. The future of human-alien relations might depend on what she did next. As military vehicles approached the crash site, Sarah Chen walked into the desert darkness, leaving no footprints in the sand. Above her, the stars seemed brighter than ever before, and for the first time in human history, one of their own carried the power to reach them. The real question was, what would humanity become once they learned what she now knew? And would they be ready for the attention they were about to receive from the cosmos? Sarah smiled as she felt the alien power pulse within her. If there was one thing humans were good at, it was adapting to change. The predators among the stars had no idea what they were about to face. The first transformation took her by surprise, her excitement causing her skin to ripple with patterns of light. She forced herself to calm down, remembering Nexus's warning. She had time to learn, to understand, to prepare. But not much. Because somewhere up there, ships were coming, and humanity's first real test as a spacefaring species was about to begin. The Symbiosis Protocol. 3 months after the crash, Dr. James Morrison stared at the test results on his screen, then at the woman floating 3 inches above his laboratory floor. Sarah Chen hadn't just changed, she had become something entirely new. Your cellular structure is completely unprecedented, he said, adjusting his glasses. The alien technology isn't just living inside you, it's evolving with you, creating something that's neither fully human nor fully alien. Sarah descended gracefully, her feet touching the floor of the hidden lab they'd established in an abandoned mining facility outside of Vegas. That's what Nexus meant by adaptation. Every time I learn to control a new aspect of this power, my DNA reconfigures itself to handle it better. James nodded, his weathered face reflecting both excitement and concern. As one of the world's leading experts in xenobiology, he was the only person Sarah had trusted with her secret. Well, him and Marcus, who was currently maintaining her cover story at the observatory. "The military's still searching for you," James said, pulling up a classified document on his secure terminal. "They found trace elements of the alien's blood at the crash site. They know someone made contact before they arrived." Sarah's skin rippled with anxious energy, creating patterns of light that she quickly suppressed. "They're not the ones we need to worry about. The ships I saw in Nexus's memories. They're coming, James, and they're not coming to make friends. How long do we have? A few months, maybe less. They'll follow Nexus's trail here eventually." Sarah walked to the lab's main window, looking out over the desert night. "We need to understand what I can do before they arrive." And she hesitated. "We need to see if we can replicate it." James froze. "You mean create more people like you?" "Sarah, the ethical implications will be nothing compared to the ethical implications of letting humanity get wiped out because we weren't prepared." She turned back to him, and for a moment her eyes glowed silver like Nexus had. "I've seen what these beings can do. They harvest worlds, James. They take any technology that could threaten their dominance and destroy anyone who might use it. And you want to give them more targets. I want to give humanity a fighting chance." Sarah raised her hand, and a holographic display materialized above it, complex equations and diagrams floating in the air. "Look at what the power can do. Clean energy, advanced medicine, space travel. But more importantly, look at how it adapts. It doesn't just change the host. It changes based on what the host needs." James studied the display, his scientific curiosity warring with his caution. "You're suggesting that different hosts might develop different abilities?" "Exactly. Nexus's species never considered that possibility because they don't have our adaptability. But humans," she smiled. "We've spent our entire evolutionary history learning to survive in new conditions. Imagine what we could become with this power." Before James could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Marcus's voice came through the intercom. "We've got company. Military convoy. 6 vehicles. 5 minutes out." "How did they find us?" James rushed to his computer, initiating emergency protocols. "They didn't," Sarah said, her expression grim. "Check the sky." James looked up through the window. High above, a faint distortion in the air betrayed the presence of something massive, something in orbit. "They're here early." Sarah's skin began to ripple with energy she no longer tried to contain. "James, we're out of time. Are you with me?" He looked at her, then at his research, then at the sky. In 30 years of scientific work, he'd never broken an ethical boundary. But he'd also never faced the end of his species. "What do you need?" "Your DNA," Sarah said, extending her glowing hand. "And your trust. The process will hurt, but if it works, humanity gets a chance." James took her hand. "Do it." The transfer was faster this time. Sarah had learned to control the power better. James gasped as alien energy coursed through him, his body illuminated from within by shifting patterns of light. When it ended, he fell to his knees, but Sarah caught him before he hit the floor. "Status?" she asked. James stood shakily, looking at his hands as patterns of light moved beneath his skin. I understand now. I can see the equations, the possibilities." He looked at her with eyes that now held the same silver sheen as hers. "We need more. Not everyone will survive the process, but those who do will be humanity's first line of defense." Sarah turned to the window again. The distortion in the sky was growing larger. "How many people do you trust?" "Absolutely trust. 3, maybe 4. Get them here. Now." Sarah's form began to shift, her skin taking on a metallic sheen as she prepared for what was coming. "And James, tell them to be ready for pain. Evolution isn't easy, but extinction is worse." Marcus burst into the lab. They're landing. Both the military and something else. Something big. Sarah nodded. Good. Let them come. It's time they learn that humanity isn't just another species to be harvested. We're the species that changes, that adapts, that survives. She looked at James. Ready to make history. James straightened, feeling new power course through his transformed body. Ready to save it. Above them, ships descended through the atmosphere, human and alien alike converging on their location. But they weren't facing the same beings who had crashed in the desert 3 months ago. They were facing something new. Humanity evolving, adapting, becoming something that even the stars hadn't seen before. And this was only the beginning. Evolution's gambit. The transformed humans called themselves the Adapted. 1 week after the first alien ship appeared over Nevada, there were 12 of them. Sarah Chen watched as Dr. Elena Rodriguez, their newest member, practiced controlling her newly acquired abilities in the reinforced chamber they'd constructed beneath the desert. Remarkable, James said, monitoring Elena's vital signs. Each new transfer produces slightly different manifestations. Elena's transformation seems to favor molecular manipulation rather than energy generation. Elena demonstrated by touching the chamber wall, causing its atomic structure to temporarily reorganize into transparent crystal. It's like I can see the spaces between atoms, she said, her silver eyes gleaming. I can feel how matter wants to flow. Sarah nodded. That's what makes us different from Nexus people. They use the power as a tool. We're letting it become part of us, letting it evolve with our natural abilities. A loud boom from above interrupted them. Marcus's voice came through their secure channel. We've got trouble. Big trouble. The military's engaged the alien ship, but it's not going well. Sarah closed her eyes, accessing the enhanced senses her transformation had given her. Through layers of rock and steel, she could feel the energies being exchanged above. The military's most advanced weapons were barely scratching the alien vessel's hull. They're toying with us, she said, testing our capabilities before they begin the real harvest. She turned to the assembled Adapted. We're not ready, but we're out of time. James, status report. James projected a holographic display showing 12 DNA structures, each uniquely modified by the alien power. The good news is we're stable. The transformations aren't degrading. The bad news is we're hitting a wall with new conversions. The last 3 candidates didn't survive the attempt. Why not? Fear, Elena interjected, stepping out of the chamber. I felt it during my transformation. The power responds to emotion. Those who fear it, reject it. Those who embrace it, become something new, Sarah finished. She'd seen it in all their successful conversions. The ones who survived weren't just brave. They were hungry for change, ready to evolve. Another explosion rocked the facility. This time, emergency lights flashed red. Marcus's voice was tense. They're landing. Multiple ships, not just the first one. And, Sarah, you need to see this. They're broadcasting something. The main screen activated, showing a message being transmitted worldwide. The being that appeared looked similar to Nexus, but darker, its metallic skin rippling with red and black patterns. People of Earth, it spoke in that same harmonious voice that carried strange undertones. We are the harvesters. We have tracked an escaped criminal to your world, one who stole vital technology from our civilization. Return what was taken, and your species will be spared. Resist, and we will take it by force. Sarah felt anger rise within her, and the power responded, creating waves of energy that made the air crackle. They're lying. Nexus wasn't a criminal. They were a refugee, trying to prevent exactly this from happening. They're scanning for the power signature, James reported, checking his instruments. Our shielding won't hide us much longer. Sarah looked at her fellow Adapted, 12 humans who had chosen to become something more, something unprecedented in the universe. Each had developed different aspects of the power. Elena could reshape matter. James could analyze and replicate complex systems. Others had mastered energy manipulation, biological enhancement, or technological interface. "We need more time," James said. "More conversions, more training." "No." Sarah's voice was firm. "We need to show them what humanity can do with just 12. Elena, how quickly can you restructure the facility's metal?" Elena smiled, her silver eyes glowing brighter. "How quickly do you need it?" "They think they're hunting Nexus's technology," Sarah said, her own transformation manifesting fully now, turning her skin to living metal. "They don't understand that we've already evolved beyond it." "James, signal the military. Tell them to pull back." "Marcus, initiate Protocol Omega." "Sarah," James caught her arm, "if we reveal ourselves now, then we show the galaxy that humanity isn't just another species to be harvested. We're the species that takes what you give us and makes it into something you never imagined." She looked at each of the adapted in turn. "Who's ready to make history?" They all stepped forward, their transformations manifesting in unique ways, skin turning to metal or crystal, energy fields forming around them, the very air responding to their presence. "Elena, take the east side. Reshape everything you touch into weapons." "James, west side. I want you analyzing their tech as we fight, finding weaknesses. The rest of you, remember your training. We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for humanity's right to choose its own evolution." Above them, the harvester ships began their final descent, their weapons charging. They expected to find cowering primitives hiding stolen technology. Instead, they were about to face something unprecedented. Humans who had not just adapted the alien power, but had evolved it into something new. The facility's walls transformed around them, becoming a crystalline fortress of Elena's design. Through it, they could see the harvester ships landing, their massive forms blocking out the desert sun. "Something occurs to me," Elena said, her hands already beginning to glow with power. "They came here expecting to find their stolen technology. Instead, they're going to find out why you don't give humans access to evolutionary shortcuts." Sarah nodded, feeling the power surge through her transformed body. Humanity's always been good at taking other people's ideas and improving them. Let's show them just how good. The first harvester weapon fired, and the battle for Earth's evolution began. The barrier within. The Nevada desert burned. Harvester weapons carved trenches in the earth, while the 12 adapted fought back with powers they were still learning to control. Sarah Chen watched as Elena turned incoming energy beams into harmless light by restructuring the air itself, while James analyzed each alien attack pattern and fed tactical data to the others. But they were losing. "Their technology is evolving too," James called out, projecting a holographic analysis mid-battle. "They're adapting to our defenses." Sarah deflected another blast, her transformed body absorbing and redirecting the energy. "That's impossible. Nexus said their species doesn't adapt like we do." "They don't," a new voice said, and everyone, human and harvester alike, froze. A figure stepped out of a shimmer in the air. It looked like Nexus, but somehow more refined, its metallic skin flowing with patterns Sarah recognized from her own transformation. "Nexus," she whispered. "But you? Died? Transferred my power?" "Yes and no." The figure smiled. "I am what remains of Nexus, preserved in the evolutionary matrix that now flows through your veins, Sarah Chen. I emerge now because you've achieved something unprecedented, something that proves I chose correctly." The harvesters had stopped firing, their ships hovering in stunned silence. "Impossible," the harvester leader's voice boomed across the battlefield. "The evolutionary matrix cannot achieve independent consciousness." "Cannot." Nexus laughed. "You speak of impossibility to a species that took our power and evolved it beyond our comprehension in mere months. Look at them, brother. Look at what they've become." Sarah felt it then, a resonance between all 12 adapted, a connection through the power they shared. Through it, she could sense each unique evolution. Elena's matter manipulation, James's analytical enhancement, and variations she hadn't even known existed. The matrix was never meant to be a tool, Nexus continued. It was meant to find a species worthy of becoming its partner. While our people stagnated, using the power but never truly joining with it, I searched the galaxy for a species with the potential for true symbiosis. The Harvester leader descended from their ship, their form massive and intimidating. You betrayed our people for these primitives. I saved our people by finding them worthy successors. Nexus gestured to the adapted. Look at what they've achieved in months that we couldn't in millennia. They don't just use the power. They dance with it, grow with it, become something new with each passing day. Sarah stepped forward, understanding flowing through her. That's why each transformation is different. We're not copying your power, we're creating new expressions of it. Precisely. Nexus turned to the Harvester leader. Brother, our people have reached the end of our evolution. We've spent thousands of years as living weapons, harvesting worlds to prevent any species from surpassing us. But in doing so, we lost the ability to change, to grow, to become something more than what we are. And these humans, the leader asked, their voice carrying a note of uncertainty, are what we once were, before fear made us static, before we chose control over growth. Nexus waved a hand, and the battlefield between them transformed, showing images of human history. Look at them. They faced extinction multiple times, and each time they've adapted, evolved, become stronger. They don't fear change. They embrace it. Sarah felt power surge through her, responding to this revelation. Around her, the other adapted were experiencing the same thing, their transformations deepening, evolving even as they stood there. I offer you a choice, Nexus said to the Harvester leader. Continue your war against evolution itself, trying to prevent any species from growing beyond your control. Or, they gestured to the adapted, learn from them. Let them show you how to break free from stagnation. The leader was silent for a long moment, their pattern swirling with complex emotions. The Matrix has never achieved consciousness before, they finally said. Never shown independent will. If what you say is true, if these humans have evolved it to this degree, then imagine what else they might achieve. Nexus finished. Imagine what we might become if we learned from them instead of trying to control them. Sarah stepped forward again, her transformed body radiating power. We don't want war, she said, but we won't surrender our right to grow, to change, to become whatever we're capable of becoming. The leader's patterns shifted, showing colors Sarah had never seen before. You speak of growth while standing ready for battle. How very human. There was something like admiration in their tone. Perhaps there is wisdom in this. Brother, Nexus said softly, let me show you what I've learned from them. The Matrix consciousness that was Nexus extended a hand to the Harvester leader. Around them, both humans and aliens watched as two ancient enemies faced a moment of choice, a chance to break cycles of fear and control that had lasted millennia. The leader reached out, their massive hand meeting Nexus's smaller one. Energy crackled between them, and Sarah felt the Matrix power within her respond, showing her visions of possible futures. Futures where humanity's gift for adaptation might heal wounds in the cosmic order that were older than Earth itself. But first, they had to survive what came next. Humanity's fire. The transfer between Nexus and the Harvester leader ignited the Nevada sky with colors that had no names in any human language. Sarah Chen and her fellow adapted watched as millennia of evolutionary stagnation began to crack under the pressure of change. The leader's massive form shuddered, patterns of light racing across their metallic skin. This is what you feel? They asked, their voice trembling. This constant drive to change, to become more. That's humanity's gift to the Matrix, Nexus said. They taught it how to dance instead of simply exist, how to grow instead of merely persist. James stepped forward, his analytical powers providing insight. Their biological structure is reorganizing itself, he reported. The Matrix is responding to their first emotional evolution in thousands of years. Sarah could feel it too, a resonance in the power they all shared, like a song reaching its crescendo. This is what you were looking for, wasn't it, Nexus? Not just a species that could use the power, but one that could teach it to evolve. Yes. Nexus's form flickered, becoming more translucent. My people forgot how to change. We became so focused on preventing others from surpassing us that we lost the ability to grow ourselves. But you humans, you never stopped changing. Even when you achieve something remarkable, you immediately begin looking for ways to improve it. Alina, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. The Matrix doesn't just respond to our bodies or our minds. It responds to our dreams, our hopes, our constant desire to be more than we are. The Harvester leader straightened, their form now rippling with new patterns, new possibilities. We have been wrong, they announced, their voice carrying across the battlefield. For millennia, we have harvested worlds to prevent the rise of species that might threaten us. But in doing so, we became the very thing we feared, a force of stagnation in a universe meant for growth. Other harvesters were approaching now, drawn by the unprecedented changes in their leader. Sarah could sense their confusion, their fear, and underneath it all, a desperate hunger for something they had denied themselves for too long. It doesn't have to be this way, Sarah said, addressing them all. Humanity doesn't want to replace you. We want to show you what's possible when you stop fearing change and start embracing it. Nexus's form flickered again, becoming even more transparent. My time is ending, they said. The consciousness I maintained within the Matrix has served its purpose. But before I go, there is one last thing you should understand. They turned to Sarah. The 12 of you are only the beginning. The Matrix you carry isn't just a tool or a weapon. It's a key to unlocking humanity's next evolutionary step. Use it wisely. Teach others. But most importantly, never stop changing. The leader stepped forward as Nexus began to fade. Brother, what would you have us do? Learn, Nexus said simply. Learn from them as I have. Watch how they face the unknown, not with fear, but with wonder. See how they turn every ending into a new beginning. Their form was barely visible now. And remember, the universe wasn't meant to be controlled. It was meant to be explored, to grow, to evolve. Humanity understands this in their bones. Let them teach you how to understand it too. With those words, Nexus dissolved into points of light that spread through the air like stars, merging with the Matrix energy that flowed through all of them, human and harvester alike. The leader turned to Sarah, their massive form no longer threatening but transformed with possibility. We have much to learn, they said, and much to unlearn. Will you show us? Sarah looked at her fellow adapted, seeing in their silver eyes the same understanding that filled her. This wasn't just about saving Earth anymore. It was about showing an ancient species how to break free from their self-imposed chains, about teaching beings who had forgotten how to change that evolution wasn't something to be feared. It was something to be embraced. Yes, she said, but not as teachers to students, as partners in evolution. Earth can be more than just another world in your empire. It can be a place where both our species learn to grow together. The leader's patterns shifted to colors that spoke of hope. And if other species seek this knowledge, this power to change, Sarah smiled. Then we'll teach them too. Because that's what humans do. We take what we learn and we share it, we improve it, we help it grow into something new. That's our gift to the universe. Around them, the Matrix energy that had started with one crashed ship pulsed with new potential. Humanity had not just survived their first contact with an advanced civilization. They had shown that civilization a new way forward, a way that promised not just survival, but continuous evolution, endless growth, infinite possibility. And somewhere in that energy, in the power that flowed through their transformed bodies and evolved minds, Sarah thought she could still hear Nexus's harmonious voice, whispering the truth they had sacrificed everything to share. The universe belongs not to those who would control it, but to those who dare to change with it. The desert wind kicked up, carrying the scent of transformation. Above them, harvester ships began to land, not as conquerors, but as students of change. And in that moment, Every human present understood that this wasn't just first contact. It was humanity's first step into an evolution that would never end.